All right, where are we? We are in the beginning of June in 2023, and we are in the North. This is like a Game of Thrones, right? We're in the North. The North remembers. Winter's coming. And we're coming into summer, so winter's coming. I guess winter is coming on the other side of summer and fall. So the North is going to be at Nordic Fjords. And these holes can be difficult, and it's possible, depending on which way the wind's blowing, that you may burn through. It's not as bad as like Sequoia Creek or some of the newer holes that they've come out with where like big balls are a premium, but there are some of these holes, if I remember correctly, that bigger balls will definitely help. So they got new pin placements, so let's go through them. So I've been playing some Tour 8 in my odd account, and on this hole right here, if the wind is, you got tailwind, and I've been playing with a Quasar, so one Powerball. You can get over this way if you've got tailwind with a one Powerball bouncing off of this island. You got to really be careful with tailwind here, because like you can stretch out your red lines here, and even a little bit of tailwind. I mean, it's like if we have a 3-mile-an-hour tailwind, it's really moving the ball forward like 6 miles an hour. Because you can come out here and be short of this with a tailwind, and you'll end up, a whole ring set into the fairway here. So if you're bouncing off of this island and you're using even a little bit of overpower, it could be difficult where you overshoot this. It can happen. And one-on-one a lot, I play where I just hit over here and lay it up and then come to the cup. And if I'm playing in pro, I think my standard adjustment here is like 20%. I'm doing plus 20. 1.2 times the wind as my standard adjustment from this area. In rookie, I'm not sure, like if you're out in this area, even in pro, it's still at 20%, but it might not be the same in rookie because the winds are a little bit lower. If we bring out a big enough ball, we can start off on this side and come over. Now, I like to take this if you're with an APOC, because it has curl, especially if you got one that's developed enough that it's got all of its distance. Typically, you can get even with side wind, you can get over into this area. What I like to do is from the tee box being here, I like to aim so that I'm off in this zone. So my ring set's I'm like a couple rings off of this transitional point right here. And I'm using this as my reference guide. And I think I was like 2 rings off of this area and coming off like this. And then when I do max curl, it brings me right down the fairway. You can do it with an extra mile where you're starting off here and you're just trying to bring it up into that zone. I'm trying to bring it around so that if I can get my curl to become effective, I'm trying to bring it over to the course, especially if you can come up to the top, it'll roll back down to the cup. I'm not sure where the cup's going to be at with the new pin placement. It looks like this might be accurate, where the pin placement's now up at the top, because normally it's like down in this area and it'll roll down to the cup. You can't overshoot it and end up in this sand right here if you don't have enough curl. So that's kind of the reason why I like to start it off on this trajectory and then try and arc it around so that I'm coming through the chute here. So I'm ending my run on the green as opposed to running up here by the sand. But we'll see. I think you can do this with just a standard 3 Powerball. Let's take bag number 5 and a Titan. The king of balls. I got a couple. We'll burn one. Got a couple practice things going, so we'll see. We will see. So typical MO for those of you that are, especially if you're new to the game or like you haven't played a lot of tournaments, typical MO is the first day that you're out practicing. This is why it's so important to record yourself. Is don't worry about what the elevations are to the cup or what changes we're going to add or take off or what our shot is to the cup. Don't worry about any of that shit. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters the first day that you hit a course is what club you're going to bring and what ball you're going to bring and where does that put you. And a lot of times you may look at a shot and go, wow, that's where I really want to get. And then you finally get to the spot that you want to get to. And then you go, wow, this shot sucks. So trying to figure out where you want to get, because you're not going to really be able to work on the second shot. See, you can easily get up there. And with tailwind, you can easily get up there. It's best to try not to do a lot of overpower on these, because if you do a lot of overpower, it's inconsistent. I don't think I need to put on a lot of topspin. There's 3. Where's that put me? Maybe 4. Now, I suppose you could do a lot of overpower and try and do maybe 2 if I did overpower. I'm going to start off in that area right there. I think I need to actually point right at it. Take the wind out. We'll time out. I'm not, hey, we're practicing here, dude. So, like, that's the whole deal. It's like, what do we want to do? I will tell you, consistency-wise, it's probably better to bring out a 5-power ball, because you can get up to the area that you want to get to, and you can pull back from the red line. You can split the difference. So, wherever you're at maximum club, you can pull back so that you're half the distance from the rough line, where my opponent's at right there. Half the distance from the rough line, half the distance from the red line. And that gives you a couple rings to pull out on days when we have headwind. So if we have a 4-mile-an-hour headwind, you can pull that wind out and try and get it so that you don't have to do any overpower, because overpower is inconsistent. It's inconsistent because one day we have tailwind and the next day we have headwind, and you know, you got a great shot and bam, you're in the rough. And so if we can set it up so that we don't have to do any overpower, that's always better. Always better. So a 4-power ball would put me like right here, and a 5-power ball would put me up into the zone, and a 5-power ball would definitely be better. But I'm going to do it with overpower because I've got be 1 ring off. I'd really like to be 2. I'm going to do 1.5. 4-3. There's 3, 4, 3. And that was 700. That's going to clip the rough right there on that first shot. Right here. Wow, I can't believe I missed the rough. Tried to leave myself a little bit of room there. That pin placement, one of the things about hitting it is if you hit it on the back side of the hill, they've changed the green because there wasn't a plateau up there before. It was all smooth. So not only have they moved the pin placement, but they changed some of the terrain on the green. That plateau where the cup's at wasn't there before. It was the hillside. So they've made the green rougher. Because before where I landed, I would have rolled down all the way down to the bottom where the old pin was. I would have still been off the pin, but I would have rolled down the hill. You can see how much movement's on here. This is going to be, I will tell you right now, the way that they've done that, it's better. They would be better off to put on like 2 or 3 backspin and get right up next to the cup. Whenever your ball guide's doing wonky shit like that, it's better just to put on a little bit of backspin and get right up next to the cup. Now the good news is that when it goes down that hill, it's probably funneling towards the cup, but when your ball guide's doing weird stuff, get close. Get close. Good game. Good game. So we kind of got an idea of where the pin is on that. So it is up high. I like to do the max curl shots because like I said, my opponent did the straight up shot where they used an extra mile. If you really bring out a big power ball, like my red line was right here, but if I brought out a 4-power ball, I think, and I can't spin that, my red line was right in this area with a 3-power ball. So if I had a headwind day, now I'm going to have to fight up against it. I think it would be better, like consistency wise. It's not that you can't get it done with a 3-power ball. Shit, it's not that you can't get it done with a 2-power ball, because you can land here with a big topper and roll it through and get it right off the green and then pitch it up. Now, I will say that pitching it up was easier when the pin was down here where it normally was because it was flat. But getting it up here to the top and having to pitch up is going to be a little bit more difficult. A little bit more. And you definitely do not want to end up on the bottom of this green. I don't even know if you can make the putt. Like, you'd want your ball to stick up at the top. You don't want to be at the bottom. I think consistency-wise, bringing out a 5 power ball so that your red line's up in this area, and then pulling back so that your ring set is kind of centered, and then here's the center of your ring. That gives you, 2, 3, 4 rings ahead of your red line, 2, 3, 4 rings behind to pull out wind. It won't matter what direction the wind's going. You have room to work out the wind, and that can make your shot very consistent. Then you don't have to do any overpower. Then it's all about curl. You can get that done with just about any ball. And I will tell you right now, if that pin placement's there, this side over here blows. Because that pin placement's going to be super tough if you just lay it up. So if it was in one-on-one, the old pin placement, it's not a bad shot. But in the new pin placement, this shot sucks. And normally in one-on-one, I do try and get on this hole. There's one of the other holes that I lay off to the left. But there is an opportunity to lay off to the left if the wind's really bad and you don't want to bring out a big ball. Hole number 2. Hole number 2. All right. This par 3 right here is mystifying. There's a bunch of different ways you can play it. With a sniper, your red line's like back in here. You can hit from like a minimum club. There's a rough bump that you can do from here and bring it around. I'm not sure where the pin is. If this pin placement's correct, it's not that far away from the old pin placement, which is kind of like right there. There is a rough bump, but that rough bump might not be in play if the pin's been moved over to the left. In one-on-one, I bring a Guardian and I start off low and go at it. So this is the way that it works. This is all downhill, right? It's all going downhill. But see this little area right here? This little crotch area, flat area. If you hit down into this area, instead of your ball running, and this is uphill. But what's funny about it is that this is the way the green looks. It looks like this. And the pin was kind of like on the uphill side. So you would think that as it went up the hill, it would slow down. But it is easy to blow past the cup and end up long. But if you hit from down in this area, it's one of those ones where, like, if you're right here, your bounces, if you're right in this area right here, your bounces are like this, like you're seeing the bounces. But when you get to this area, all of a sudden your bounces go like this, and they flatten out, and it wants to scoot across, and it really... it's not going to get the distance on it. So I've hit from down in this area quite a few times, and you can do it with a Guardian. You can do it with a sniper. And you're more towards max club when you're up here because your minimum's way the hell back here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play it. I have played from over on this side and tried to bring it around, so we'll have to see where the pin is. I don't think that we're going to need a big side spin ball. Let me clean up a couple things here. I got my club card trading. I gotta make sure I do my club card trading. We'll see if we get one of the 6 epics that I'm looking for. There's so many days I get the Boomerang and the Sahara, or I get the Boomerang and the Amazon. And today I got 2 clubs that I'm actually working on. Which one? Which one? I use my Spitfire all the time. All the time. Got to go with the Spitfire. I use my Spitfire. My Spitfire never leaves my bag. The Thor's Hammer is a club that I use occasionally, or I might use occasionally. I haven't used it that much, but even though it is level 6 and it is a decent club, I use my Spitfire in every single game that I play. I hardly ever take that Spitfire out. All right, there you have that. There you have it. Let's think about what I want to take as far as ball. I'm going to take a Quasar just in case I do need side spin. And I have no idea as far as like adjustment to the cup. It is a sniper, but I could do. Let me make sure I have a bag. Let me switch this bag up. Guardian. I might play it with a Guardian. And I got a Goliath bag. And I have a Hornet bag. There's some holes that a Hornet is definitely the club because it has topspin that my Kingfisher doesn't have. So sometimes if you're doing a rough bump, the Hornet can get it done and the Kingfisher can't. But otherwise, day to day, I play with the Kingfisher. I'm going to play with a sniper. We'll see what it looks like with a sniper. I might as well take this shot while we're here. Let's take my golden shot. You guys can. I say this every time when they were doing these golden shots. If you don't watch Tommy's videos, the golden shot videos that Tommy puts out are definitely worth watching. I don't watch them, but they are definitely worth watching. Especially if you want to maximize your chances, and if you buy the pack, it's definitely worth watching. The wood here is, I think my wood is 2 per ring. 7 divided by 2, 4.55 rings. And I think it was 3, maybe a titch of backspin. .55 rings. There's 4, 5, 5. I'm going to lean just a little. Hitting it perfect. See if I can get anything. Get up there. Get up there. Need a little more curl. That distance wasn't too bad. I did a 30% adjustment on that, and it's more towards minimum club, but I did a max number, so it was probably closer to like a 45 or 50% adjustment. It's 2 per ring at max. I got the Firefly. I think I've only gotten like one time where I've gotten anything good in any of the, for some reason, there's some cards I just don't get very often in this count. Apox. Hardly ever get Apox. Hardly ever get them. Okay. Here we go. Let's practice. Let's see what no, that was the results. I came in 21st, I think. My results didn't, I had a lot of fun. I was kind of rushed this weekend. I had so much shit going on, and I played on Sunday. But I did have my rounds, the results didn't reflect. I did have fun playing on the weekend round. I actually, there was 3 of the holes on the weekend round. I changed how I was approaching the hole, and I played them totally different than I played them all week. And I got super aggressive on them. And several times it worked out, and several times it didn't. And I came super close. I had a lot of really close misses where I swirled the cup, or I was 1 ball off, or I hit the flagpole, or I went over the cup, and if my speed would have been right, I would have went in, but I went over the hole. It actually dipped into the hole and then bounced back out. I had a lot of really close calls, but couldn't get shit to drop. All right, I have no idea what kind of an adjustment I should be doing, but it's definitely downhill. And elevation's all bullshit, so don't worry about elevation. I have no idea what they're doing. They eyeballed it. They were way off. I have no idea. I have no clue. I actually want to play this more to the. I'm gonna play that. Let's play this different. They moved it over to the left-hand side, so let's take a look at. I think there actually might be a rough bump that you can do from over there. If you brought out like a horizon, something that's got like from up in this area. Like how much topspin? Where does that put me? Like, is there a rough bump that you can do from up here? Let's take some of that topspin off and see. Like, can I get it to the cup? No, I mean it's either not on it or. But like playing it from up here. I'm trying to bring it back around and not involving myself at the middle. Maybe being like I'm 3 rings off right there. See if I can get the ball guide to extend out. I can't get my tail to work. It wants to work if it's up high, but it's not working right there. And it seems like it's way downhill. So I'm gonna start off with like a 30% adjustment. Let's see if that's an over pull on it. If you ever see somebody doing what I'm doing right there and you're in a practice round, miss your putt and watch what they're doing. because you could learn some stuff right there. Like why, like fuck, dude, we're practicing. Why would you get in a big ass hurry to get through with it? Like, hey, I went out there and practiced and I missed my shot, but my opponent was like trying some stuff out and I was watching them and I actually learned something by watching my opponent. That's a little high of the cup. That's 5. That's 6.5. I'm going to just do a max pull and see what it looks like with a max pull. Probably should turn my grid on. There's 5, 6, 5. Oh, and I hit it great to the left. Not going to learn shit from that. Hitting it great to the left, it didn't... wasn't able to encounter the green and get on it, but I may try something up there. Let me look at that. Let's try that one more time and see if I can actually catch the green. Let's play hole number 2 one more time. I got a couple things going to give me practice tokens, so let's try that out. I'm sure you can come at it in the normal way where you're bringing it down, but I just want to see if there's like some way we can get to the cup. This is another reason why it's so important to record your own video, because I have no freaking clue what kind of spin I put on it right there. And I could go back and watch the video and I could see that I put on 3 side spin or I put on 2 side spin. Well, obviously, I couldn't have put on more than 2. So I put on 2 side spin and I put on X amount of back spin in order to get me to the spot. And what you can do when you go back to the hole is put that spin on immediately before you even move your ball. And then find the spot that spin works. And it saves you a ton of time. A ton. 4.4. 5.72 rings. I think I was 3 rings off. Let's get where I can see what the hell's going on. And that's 4.5 and almost 1 side spin. And I'm still off the cup. And it's hard to get the ball to go right at it. 5.72. Still need to turn my grid on. There's 5.72. Let's see if we can hit this one perfect. Hitting it perfect. And see if it'll actually get onto the green. And that was definitely not enough of a pull. I did a 30% there and I barely was able to roll down on it. I might have. Was that an over pull? I think if I would have ended up to the left, it would have did the same thing it did on the last one, where it would have gotten stuck up at the top because it barely had enough speed to catch the green and then roll down. So if I hadn't pulled it that much, it would have pushed me more to the left. I'm not sure I would have rolled down like I did. It might be easier to do with a katana with a 3 side spin ball, so you can get a little bit closer and bring it around so that you're not so close to the rough. This is a hole right here that I would love to practice with my buddy Dunner, because me and him would get on here and we would definitely know, like we would sit there and time out 15 times if that's what it took to find out exactly what ball we needed and what club. You can see how that hill is and where the cup is. I'm sure that you can run right at it. But we got a new pin placement, so like trying to see what our options are is like, does it open up some other shots? I think with a Horizon, well, even with the sniper right there, you might be able to get to where you could do a rough bump, but that hill is iffy. And I don't think you're going to be able to do the rough bump on the right hand side with the new pin placement. You see how much movement's on these greens, and they used to be fairly smooth, but you can see how much rolling there is. So it's all about speed. If your speed's too fast, you'll blow through the brakes, and if your speed's too slow, it'll enhance the brakes. And so even if you make everything right, you can still get off trajectory just because your speed is just a little bit too fast or a little bit too slow. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. What is hole number 3? Hole number 3. The big par 5. All right. Now there are several ways you can play this. This area out here is fans. Okay. Let's fans, aka spectators. If you hit to this area in the tournament, you're gonna be the most hated person on the course. Okay, do not hit over here. It's shit. Number one, even if you got all the way to the end, the shot to the cup is crap. All right, from right here, it is everything you can get to get over into this area. Now, if you got a 3 power ball, you can get over into this area with a sniper, but like in one-on-one with a lower power ball, shit. If you're right there, you're going to be lucky with a guardian or a big dog to get to there. So, I mean, if we draw the arc, this is wood area right here. So from here, you're looking at like you're going to be here, and then you got to bring it around the bend to get it on the cup, and you got 2 fucking sand traps in your path. So, like, this is not a good area to hit. So don't hit over there. And there's fans standing over there. So don't hit to that side. That side's not playable. But what we can do is bring out a big power ball and go across. And you can see where this little ridge line is that's here. This is all uphill, and this is flat. So you can get a little bit of the backboard effect to bring it around. Now, this wasn't as possible in the past as it is now because we've got topspin boost balls. So with a 3 power ball, you can get your red line right in here. So with a 5 power ball, you can get up into this area. And if you got like a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or 5 topspin boost ball, you might be able to make it over to the other side with very little, if any, overpower. And when we draw an arc from here to here, you know, and you're here, this might actually be a long iron. Especially if you had a Goliath, it's definitely long iron. Whereas opposed to here, you're in wood, and you got a 5 power ball over here, so you're probably definitely going to be a long iron. So I would say if you really want to enhance your shot, you could try and get over to this side right here, and you might actually be able to get some forward distance just depending on how you roll out, and then you could be really, really good. This spot right here, it's really important that you get far enough forward so that you can get your second shot over on this side. So in tournament play, I would highly recommend bringing out at least a 3 power ball. A Kingmaker works great on the shot coming over. With an APOC and a Kingmaker, you can start off on this side right here. You got a small little window. And it only takes like 1 or 2 topspin, and you can just bring the ball, you know, towards the end. This fairway right here is kind of mounded, and the mound's kind of like this close to the left-hand edge. So if you're on the left-hand side and it's rolling, it can very easily tail off, and you end up being in the rough on the left-hand side. And then over here, as it gets down towards the bottom, it wants to tail off. A lot of people end up right there by that rock. So you want to run it, so if you're running down this fairway, you want to run it straight down that fairway. The other way you can do it, and what I normally do in one-on-one, is I start off over here, and I like to play this with an APOC. You can use a quarterback or a rock, and I like to give myself at least 3 rings of separation. You have to practice with your clubs. I think with my APOC, I'm giving it like 3.5, maybe a solid 4 rings of separation, and then I just do a blind curl with like 2.5 topspin, and it usually puts me like pretty dead center. And I don't try and press my luck on the tip because it's so easy to come on this side and be on this trajectory, and when you get out to here, it just dribbles off and you're in the rough, and you don't want to be in the rough on this island. Or if you over curled it, you know, it drifts off at the end, and then it comes over here and you're here because you were trying to get out to the tip, but it's pretty easy to just get to the middle. This island here, the reason you don't want to bounce off of this island is this island's like this. And so what happens is, in order to bridge the gap, especially if you're in the rough out here, so you've got your Nirvana, and with the topspin that it has enough topspin to bridge the gap from here to here, but only at the top. So you would think, well, hey, I don't have enough. I'm going to just push the ball forward, and then I'll have less distance to get to the other side. But the problem is when you push the ball forward, you're on the downhill side, so the ball bounces off flat, and then you hit the rough. And so when you pull it back, the bounce will get higher, and that stretches out the distance, and then you're out here in the fairway. So that means that if you start off back here on the back, it wants to go really high and you'll miss it completely. So you have to hit it right at the top. So that means you have to make an excellent wind adjustment. And so try and avoid hitting off this, and you can avoid hitting off this by bringing out a 3-power ball and not ending up in the rough on this island. But I'm almost thinking, like, we know what the island shot looks like. The island shot here, we'll go out there with a 3-power ball and a couple top spin and a little bit of side spin. Like a Kingmaker works really well because you can cut the wind down no matter which way the wind's working. But I'm just thinking on like going over to the other side. Let's see what I got for Power 5 balls. Is this a top spin boost ball? It is. Got a couple of those still. Let's bring out one of those top spin boost balls. Let's see what, if I bring out an Extra Mile's got, this is where an APOC 7 would come in really handy. My APOC 6 has got more distance than the Extra Mile, but it has 9 less top spin, and the top spin is really, really important. With a level 7 Apocalypse, you get 85 top spin, so then you're in the good stuff. I'm gonna bring my Extra Mile, but I'm gonna keep my number 5 bag in mind. Let's go out there and just see what it looks like. I may time out on the first shot and we'll see what it looks like on the deal. Not gonna worry about trying to get up there. Practice now, practice. 1 practice token. If you're out practicing and you see that the person you're playing with is actually practicing, don't make the shot, don't make the putt. Let them practice and watch them. Once again, it's so important to record your own video, because if they're doing that and you're recording it, then you can go back and watch what they were doing and you can learn something from your opponent. This is why I do not ever want to see us get this stuff where we don't go play against an opponent, because there are times when you can learn something from your opponent. Now, there's so often nowadays that you're playing against a replay, but if you've got a live opponent and they're practicing, there's no you're practicing. So, like, don't make your putt. Let them practice. And they've got a rock. You could probably make it over there with a 3-power ball with a rock and not have to do any overpower. I'm not a fan of doing that shit with overpower, because that island, that first bounce, that is a layup shot. And the one thing about a layup shot is that you want a layup shot to be right where you want it to be every stinking time. Because, I was going to say, if they got in the rough right there, that's a shitty spot, especially with a 1-power ball. Especially with a 1-power ball. So you can see where my red line is. Let's see if I can just get over just with topspin. Almost. I gotta get all the topspin on there. This is where a 5 topspin boost ball would come in handy. And see, when you push it forward, it digs down farther in. So it doesn't really help me to have, but I could bounce off just on the other side. And so that could be a sweet little deal right there. Sweet little deal. Hey. And I'm going to take this with the number 5 ball and a Kingmaker. Number 5 club and a Kingmaker when I come back. So it might be possible to get over there. If you had a 5 topspin boost ball, or a topspin boost ball that has more, like a 4-power 5 topspin boost might, get you more just to get over to the other side. Even if you just rough bump to get over to the other side, you're still going to be in long iron range instead of wood. And that pin placement is definitely... The old pin placement was a tough hole to get an Albion tough hole. Tough. I'll take a Kingmaker. I think I can just take a Kingmaker to get over. Got plenty of room. Pull back from the red line, so I got room to work out the wind. It's only a couple top spin. I'm going to do 2.5. Try and get myself out there to the tip. And you can see how the course breaks. You really do not want to be left. I'm going to start off a little and then put a little left on it. 2-6. I'm going to do 2 rings. That's 3. There's 2 rings. And then I'm just going to lean a little to the left. And I hit it to the left, and that is fucking bad. That is bad. Because it starts off good and then it gets caught up on that hill, and I was able to get past that hill. If you're in the middle and you start breaking to the left, it'll just roll off. But I was able to get far enough past where it breaks and get on the flat up there at the tip. I'm curious to see what this shot looks like, because the old green, like if you could get to the other side, you still had, you couldn't put on any backspin. You had to put on a little bit of topspin to get to it. But this pin placement might be good. There's max club, there's min, there's mid. So I'm about mid club. That's 1.1. I'm going to do just a 1.1. I'm going to do a straight up shot. 4.5 divided by 1.1. It's 4.1 rings. What I like about this is that you can put on a little bit of backspin. It's always better when you can get to these cups with a little bit of backspin. 4.1 rings. Hey, remind me to turn my grid on. Oh, fuck, and then I hit it great. Arrgh. I think I might like that pin placement better. But I do think that if you brought out the right ball, you might, and he had the right wind too. It might be difficult to hit over to, here, let me turn my grid on real quick. Thanks for reminding me. Hold on, let's go look at that hole. I think it might, and this was a great example of what I was talking about on this hill right here. So you'd think, well, hey, if I get to the front, then it'll give me more distance on the other side. But when you pushed it past a certain point, instead of doing a bounce, it was doing a flat shot out, because you're hitting off of the downhill side of the hill. And so it's making a ball go flat. And so the closer you get to the tip, actually you're going to net less distance. There's a sweet spot out here. That's why I pulled it back a little bit to see if maybe there was a better spot. Because sometimes wherever you're at your red line, that's not the spot. Like if you pull it back a little bit from it, you'll be higher up on the hill, so the red line starts right here. But if you pull it back a little bit, you're on a higher part of the hill, so you can get a longer bounce, even though it's not as far in the shot. But you might be able to, that was a 2 side spin ball, and it was getting me up into this area. So if I had like a neutral wind, or even a tailwind that I could work out, the headwind would be difficult, because you'd have to put on a little bit of overpower in order to make sure you got to that spot. But you wouldn't want to overpower it, because then once again you're on the downhill side of this and it'll shorten that shot up. So it's got to be pretty precise. But if you had a 5 side spin ball, you might be able to get your second bounce up on the hill where you could actually get a run. But I do think that you could just get a rough bump off of this with a 2 top spin boost ball. If you had a 4 power ball, because up here you were still getting the good bounce. If you had a 4 power ball with like 4 or 5 top spin, you might be able to net the same yardage on the other side and rough bump it. Just even if you could just rough bump it to right there, if you draw the line from where the pin is, if we do our arc, if you do this, I don't know, like this is definitely longer, so it's probably more in like this. Here I was in minimum or mid long iron, or excuse me, wood. Here with a Goliath, you're probably going to be a max Goliath. Now, I'm not sure when you're doing the shot to the cup, you've got to contend with this sand, so you'll have to start off on the other side of the sand. But I think there's enough room there that you could probably do it with 2 or 3 backspin. And do it with a long iron as opposed to doing it with a wood. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. The old pin placement was here. And so if you were in this area and you were taking your shot to the cup, you've got a little bit longer distance from the sand to set the shot up to run it out, as opposed to here doing this. It may be a little bit tighter. most people are going to hit off this island and doing a shot very similar to what I did, or they're going to bring it around from this island. It's best to bring out a 3 power ball and start off on that island and pull back from the red line so that you have room to work the wind out. Just saying. Just saying. Hole. Okay. This hole right here, you can bounce it off of this island. You can bounce it off of this island. Or you can start off on the green side. If you're going to start off on the green side, you're going to have to use a lot of backspin. I believe if you start off on the green side, well, in pro, you're going to have to start off on the green side with a Guardian, but I think in rookie, it still might be a Guardian if you're on this side. If you brought out a really low power ball like a Navigator or a Marlin, you might be able to start off here and be in like minimum club and then try and backspin it around. The old pin placement was here, and so there was a rough bump that you could do, but I don't know that we're going to be able to do that rough bump. This island is difficult because it's at an angle. And so if the wind's blowing from any direction like this, you can pull over this. But if it's blowing from any of these directions where you have to adjust over, it doesn't really represent how steep it is from this spot to this spot. It's like this. So it's fairly flat up here and then it hits this. And so you do not want to have to make your adjustment where you're rolling over this hill. So usually if I set up my shot over here, I would try and be 3 rings and try and side spin it over. It doesn't look like we may need as much side spin as we did in the past because the cup was right here, so we had to have a lot on it in order to get to it. And you kind of have to pinch down here about 2.5 rings. I'm not a super fan, but I've probably hit more hole-in-ones hitting off of this island than I have going right at it. With the backspin shot, though, it does want to come up to the top, and then you'd have to roll it back down to the hill. So the cup is definitely going to be closer to where the backspin shot was. Let's try it out. Let's try it out. I think if you're bouncing it over the island, we'll have to see what kind of ball works. We'll go out there and try it out. Try it out. Let's take a Quasar to start off with. Take a Quasar. Quasar. Practice. Let's take a Quasar to start. We'll start with just a 2-side spin ball and see what happens. And let's take my number 2 bag. I can always switch to my number 4 if I feel like I want to backspin it on there. We'll try it out. We'll see what the deal is. We'll take a look at it. Now, they've moved the pin. The pin placement was low and on the right. So if you're bouncing off of the left-hand island, you really had to pinch up against the edge and bring it around. Where your second bounce was actually the critical spot because your second bounce would clip the rough and you get buried in the rough and not even make the green. But they've moved the pin high and to the left. So the island that I was just talking about, the one on the right, might not be the island to hit off of. It might be the island on the left because it's a straighter shot now. Let's see. Let's see. Let's take a gander at it. We might not even take a shot. Let's try this one first. Yeah, shit, I like that. One of the things I didn't like before is you had to get it really close and you had to be really tight in order to bring it on. So there's max club. I'm right at max. I'm about 5 rings off right there, so I could work out pretty much any wind. And get a nice little run at it. Let's see if there's any spots out here where it gives us a good tail. And we got a nice shot at it from that island. I like that a lot. From over here, we're really at our red line, and we definitely got to bring it around because it used to be down in this area, down in here, so we could bring it around, but that's not going to work anymore. So this island's probably the island. The other way to go out is to try and get to the other side. Where's my red line? Probably switch to we'll try it out, a little timeout here, and we'll see what it looks like with a Guardian. Well, we could see what it looks like with a sniper first. We get a little bit of ball guide. Sniper's got what, 4.2 or 4.4 ball guide, and the Guardian's got 3.9. So you don't get the final tail. You don't get that smooth tail. They got a 0 Powerball and they're right at their red line right there. I think I would want to practice this with just a regular 0 Powerball just to make sure that I can get, well, they're eyeballing their adjustment, so it's either going to, the deal is that a precision ball doesn't, it's not to say they won't make this, but a precision ball doesn't make great adjustments for you. It doesn't go, hey, you were supposed to pull 1.2 per ring and you did 6 per ring, but you hit it perfect, so now it's going to go in. Those precision balls do not make up. You still have to be on track. See what it looks like. Can I get there? You can get there with a Guardian if you do max backspin. I wonder if it'll roll that far down the hill. It looks like it might. It might get enough roll down the hill. That's max backspin. That's 2.5 rings off, and I'm gonna do. How close can I get? I can't get any closer than that. I'm gonna add on 10. I'll add on 20%. That's 1, so that's 6-1. And I'll do a max pull, so there's 6-1. And I was probably at like more towards mid club. Just a bit outside. And I didn't actually pull it enough. So I did a max adjustment with 20%. And actually it was 5.1. So it's 5.1 times 1.2. Should have been 6.12 rings, and I did 6-1. So I don't even know if I'd added on 0.1 if that had made that big of a difference. But a 25% adjustment would have put me at 6.37. So maybe a 25% adjustment at max club, max backspin. It feeds right down into it. That might be a spot right there. And then the cool thing about I have a thing about par 3, especially if you're ever having a problem on a par 3. If you're ever having a problem on a par 3 and a par 3 is eating your lunch, put a backspin club in your bag and go out there and backspin that sucker. Now that works on just about every par 3 except for a couple that I can think of that are so slopey that if you hit it wrong, even with a lot of backspin, it's going to throw you off the cup. But it's always best if you can start off on the green side because there's no traps. Like the water's out of play. These sand traps are really out of play. They're just there for show. I mean, the only thing you're hitting for is the green. So, I mean, like, even if you hit a great to the left or the right, guess where you're going to end up? On the green. Make your putt, move on to the next hole. Whereas if you're on the other side, especially if you're flirting with disaster, you could get off trajectory and end up in the drink, or you could clip this rough and end up rolling in the drink. The old pin placement down here, it was easy when you were trying to spin it around to clip on your second bounce and hit that. But I think going from here is a clear shot. I did kind of like the backspin from here because it's easy to set up. Max backspin. And now it's just about getting our wind adjustment right and rolling down the hill. But you got some great opportunities from here and you got tons of room. So it doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. You should be able to work the wind out and have a nice little run at the cup. And this was at max, or is that minimum? Is that minimum? Minimum club? Yeah, we have some opportunities on this. I think this hole is much easier now with that pin placement. So there's 2 viable options, either starting off over here or using this island. This island is now no go, no good. No good with that pin placement. I suppose you could bring out something, a bigger spin ball, but like you don't need to. Hole number 5. Hole number 5. What do we got? What do we got? What do we have? All right. Okay, in one-on-one play, especially if you're playing this from the Pro Tees, I will tell you the safe thing to do is to just bounce it out here. This is where your number 3 bag, normally my number 3 bag has a big topper, and you can come out here with a 1 power ball and you can do a max overpower shot, and you can almost do it with impunity, even if you're 2 rings off left or right. You may hit it great to the right and be farther from the cup. You hit it great to the left and you're closer to the cup, but you can set yourself up in the middle and just bounce the ball out into this area right here. And then if you've got a big dog or a cataclysm in your bag, your red lines like up in this area, and you can run your topspin, and you can either end up right on the green or right off the green with a short little pitch, and you can recover. And it's basically 2 max overpower shots, depending on which way the wind's blowing on the second shot. If you got good tailwind, you may not have to do any overpower on the second shot, but you can easily get on the green, and it's hard to get in trouble. If you get in trouble, for me, it's always on the second shot, and it's in this area right here. In tournament play, however, especially in rookie, where you're bringing out bigger stuff, and in pro, you can do the same thing by bringing out a bigger ball, is you're starting off in this area, and you're trying to get bounce number 1 and bounce number 2 right on the other side of the sand, and then whoa up before you get to the top. So if you don't want to run very much topspin, like 2, maybe 2.5. I think if you get an over 3, you're going to roll off, and you do not want to roll off. You can get yourself, if you've got a Nirvana or a Spitfire and you're in this area, you can, your red line's going to be up in this area, and especially with a Spitfire because it's got so much topspin, you can get yourself right up here and you can recover. With a Nirvana, it's a little bit more difficult. It doesn't have quite as much topspin, so you might be able to get to like this area, like max wedge, to recover. So don't end up in the rough or the sand, but it's possible to put yourself in a recovery spot. You want to just get to the tip. I have seen some people do a max overpower hook shot on this where they get over to the other side over here, but it is so sketchy that, and I suppose with some of the new 5-power topspin boost balls, you might be able to get to a point where you could bounce it and get it over here where you like rough bump it out, and you could get it over here. So here you're in wood and here you're in long iron, and it might be viable. You might be able to do, but I can tell you that see this blue shit? This is called water, and it is OB, and there is lots of it, and I've seen more people end up out of bounds trying to hook to get over to the other side, and I've seen more people end up in this rough and in this sand than I have people that have made it. So it's very sketchy when there is a great shot that you can get right here. Just to give you some options on this. In tournament play, I think we're always going to play for this area. It gives us a straight up shot at it. We'll have to see where the pin is. Let's look at that picture. Tommy seems like he's got the pins right. He's got access to them. Now if I can get to the right freaking screen. He's got access to it. Now you can see where that pin's at. Normally the pin is like over in this area, so you got a shot at it. So with the pin placement here, from this area, if we draw a line from this rough peninsula is going to be in our spot. So if we give ourselves a little bit of separation, we're going to be facing off in this direction, and we're going to have to spin it. So thinking about what our ball would be, you could probably do this with a Titan and get up there, but a Kingmaker might not necessarily help you so much on the first shot, but it might definitely help you on the second shot with the side spin. And even a 4 side spin ball might be what we need. The other thing about thinking about that is that, like, normally I would say the landing zone would be like right in here, but now our landing zone would be in this quadrant. We'd want to, the farther to the left we could be forward, that's going to open up our second shot. So if we're going from the green down to the area, the more you can be on the left hand side, the left spin you're going to have to use in order to get to the cup. I will bring a Titan, the king of balls. Why? Because I can. We'll see if we can get it done with the Titan. I don't want to burn a Kingmaker in a practice hole. The Titan will tell us whether or not we need to put on, and I like to do this with my rock if I can, but if you can't get up there, like if you're in pro, an APOC works good. Any club that's got more distance will work good, but I think in rookie, the rock works all right. If you've got lower developed stuff or like mid developed stuff, there's always the thing about which is better, my rock or my quarterback. On this particular hole, I almost always played it with my rock because I think the rock had a little bit more raw distance. And with a quarterback, trying to get your second bounce on the other side of the sand, you had to run because its distance wasn't quite as much. So like if your rock has more raw distance, it's the better club to use, because you might have to use you'd have to use more topspin in order to get that second bounce on the other side of the sand, and that topspin might help you to get over the sand, but then it gets you too far on that pad. Whereas the rock's got that little bit extra distance, so you don't have to use as much topspin to get over the sand. We'll see. I've been playing this in pro, and I haven't been playing it to the left. I've been playing it straight forward. But we don't want to do that in a tournament, because in a tournament we're going to bring out whatever ball it takes to make this hole the easiest that we can, to give us the best opportunity to put the ball in the hole. Yeah, and see, from rookie it's easy to get over to the other side, but in pro I can tell you right now, you're going to want to use your rocker, you're going to want to use your APOC or something to get you over there, and you're going to want to use a bigger ball than a 1 power ball. Nice. I didn't watch my opponents to see how much spin they put on or anything. I wasn't paying attention. That ball will not hurt you on the drive, but that ball won't help you as much on the second shot. It's a long shot to get over there. What I like about this is I can pull back from the red line and I'm at like +6. I'm going to put 1 backspin on, 2 side spin. I'm going to be 2 rings at +6. 2.5. How close can I get? That's pretty close. I'm going to do 2.5. I'm going to do 2.8, 2.75. And then I'm going to put on a little bit of curl. I'm going to lean to my first tick mark. Hitting it perfect. Just to bring it back to the center, bring it back a little bit to the left-hand side. That's definitely on the right, so I could put on more curl. I could go to maybe the second tick mark. 3 side spin ball would help, once again. My opponent and I are both in the middle, and you can see where the pin's at. Now what we might be able to do is, if we can get up there, my opponent's got a lower power ball than me, I might be able to get 1 bounce on this side of that rough, and then the second bounce on the other side of the rough. But they've got a 1 side spin ball, and they should be able to bring it around. But look at where their third bounce is. So if they get the wind... If they get the wind wrong, and they're leaning a little bit, and they're short shooting, if they get the wind a little bit wrong, well, they hit it great to the left. That helped them. It's amazing to me how many people are looking at their first bounce and are looking at their tail, but they're not really paying attention to the middle part of their shot. And like the second bounce is like a half a breath. It's 1 blade of grass away from clipping the rough, and then they clip the rough, and then they're all like, well, what the fuck? Like, well, dude, did you look at where you were setting your shot up? Did you look? Let's see, can I do a rough bump from here? Might be able to do a second bounce rough bump. Let's get out into the rough. Let's put some... Look at that. You could do a second bounce rough bump from there. My buddy Dunner would probably be all over that. The other way to do it is if we come over to this side right here, and we brought side spin to get it over. That's 2 side spin. Can I get it over? I can, but look at how close that is. So 3 side spin would definitely help me. A 4 side spin ball would even help me more. Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to try the second bounce rough bump. Now, once again, if you see somebody practicing and you're doing that thing and they were trying that out and looking at the angle of the shot, why would you make your putt? Why wouldn't you want to go, hey, let's see what they're going to do. Let's see what can happen here. Why wouldn't you? Shit, you're practicing. I'm going to try a second bounce rough bump. 2.6. I'm definitely max club. That's I'm going to take off a little because I am definitely in at 2.34. There's 2, 2.5, 3, 4. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if a second bounce rough bump will get me where that gets me. Ooh, close. Didn't, and I took off 10%. I probably could have took off 5% there, and that would have went in. Close. Could work. Could be an opportunity. Just saying, giving you options. That's the whole idea, is to look at these holes and not go, well, this is the only way to play it. Well, shit, there's a ton of ways to play these holes. Come on, man. Let's have some fun. Practice. What hole are we on? Hole number 6. Hole Number 6. Let's look at that real quick and see. Hole number 6. Hole number 6. What is hole number 6? Looks like a big ass hole. This is the hole I was talking about that I confused on hole number 1. I do hit. I'll bounce it over here with a big topper. With a 1 power ball, if you're playing pro, this is an option. You can come out here with a 1 power ball and you can hit from here and you can drive it up to the front and it's 20% to the cup. But the cup was down here on the flat, but now it looks like it's up on the hillside, and that might be a little bit more difficult location. With a big enough power ball, you can start off on this side. You can try and bounce it off from here over, but this is one of those ones where if you've got a tailwind and it's blowing at 3 miles an hour, you need to, and you're doing overpower, it might be blowing at 6. You're going to have to try that out and see like what the deal is. And so because of that, because we got water, we got elevation changes, we've got all kinds of shit going on here, it's better to bring out a bigger ball than what you need and pull back from the red line. So on days that you've got a headwind, you might be able to work some of it out. I think you might have to just bring out a big power ball in order to get over here. In pro, you're probably definitely going to have to bring out a bigger power ball, but I think in rookie we might be able to get it done with a 3 power ball. Maybe. Here, let me pick a ball so I won't have to waste at least a second. I'm gonna take my number 5 bag just because it's the biggest hitting club I have, and we'll take a Titan. There we go. Here we go. Getting out on the course, playing some Golf Clash. But of course, hey, we're golfers. We're the kings of golf. And we're not messing around. We're too busy swinging to put anybody down. Zigzag, thank you for joining the channel. My fans were having to listen to me sing, and they were like, please give him an opponent. Please. Here we go. Let's see what our options are. So you can't bring out your big topper, and you can hit from this side right here and drive it over. If you got a low power ball, and if you're playing from pro, it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity where you can't hit from here and try and bring it over, but you can bring out a bigger power ball and try and hit from this side. So obviously, if you're doing overpower, you can do it with a 3 power ball. Let's check it out with a 5. Let's see with a 5 power ball. And just see what our 5 power ball red line is. Yeah, so you got a little teeny bit of a red line with a 5 power ball. So if you did max OP, you're going to be okay there. What's up, puppies?
Sorry.
Let's see what that looks like. Damn. What's up, puppies? What's up, baby? Okay. I'll be there shortly. I'm on hole number 6 or 7. 6, I think.
You got 18?
No, just 9. Just shooting a walkthrough for everybody, so everybody has options on how to play. We got new pin placements, so we're going through and seeing what the new pin placements look like and seeing what our options are. My opponent bounced it over and went on that side. That's an interesting way to go at it. That does get you over to the green side and gives you a short little pitch. That looks like it'd probably be like max wedge. Okay, with a 3 power ball. Let's just do it with a 3 power ball. And I definitely don't want to do max topspin. I think maybe... Shit, I think you can do it with 4. I think 4 will put me right out there in front. And that's a narrow little area right there. 3-1. It's 1.5 per ring. Do a little extra. Hitting it perfect. See if we can get it to run through that gap. I probably could have put on another whole bar of topspin. And did I over pull it there? I did put a little teeny bit of left hand curl on it. I hate to hit shots straight up. The problem with hitting a shot without putting any curl on it at all is that when it hits, it's going to go in that direction. But if I would hit that great to the right and it would have ended up being in the rough over there, it's still going to go to the left no matter what. And if I hit it great to the left, the first bounce is great to the left, but it's kind of pulling me. I always like to hit them with a little bit of curl. Just a little. Yeah, it's too bad my opponent made that shot. I would have liked to have taken that shot. Okay, we'll play it one more time. We will play it one more time, and I'm going to put on, I think I put on like 4 topspin there, and I'm going to put on, you've got to be shitting me. I have 2 things going. I am that fucking 6-shooter thing that they have, and I have a teammate that sent him a thing, and they explained like how a 6-shooter works, and I'll tell you how a 6-shooter works. It's super freaking consistent. You pull the trigger, it shoots the round, and it goes to the next one, and they have it set up on a little random thing. Like, look, I've got one that's got 5 here. I've played however many holes I've played here, and I played one of them twice, and I've got these on here, and I've gotten 4, and it's like total bullshit. I paid for those. Like, charge me an extra 100 and just give me 6 instead of making it like a random deal. Like, you paid for it, but now we're going to randomly decide when you get it. That is such horse shit. Hold on so I can watch this 30 fucking second video. Hold on. All right, that was the longest 30-second, 30-minute video I've ever watched that I'll never get back. Let's see if I can get one of the 2 things that I've paid for to actually give me a freaking practice token this turn. Let's go back. We're playing hole number 6. Let's make sure we play the right hole. So I played 6 holes, and I played one of them twice. So that means I played 7 holes. And in 7 holes, I've only had one of them fire off once. The one time you're guaranteed for it to fire off. And the other one's fired off 3 times. And I paid 1,000 gems. If you were buying gems, that means I paid $10 to get a random chance at 12 tokens. I mean, whoever came up with that system can kiss my white ass. There, take that. That'll make them change it. They don't care what we think about anything. I can guarantee it. What's funny is that they do so many things in this game where they could monetize the game and they could make more money, and they don't do it. And then the things that they do try and make money on are like kiddie stuff. It cracks me up. What does my opponent got? They got a 5 Powerball, of course. A 5 Powerball is going to give you the consistency, especially on days when there's tailwind and sidewind, where you don't have to do any overpowering. You can just set it up. You can see how far forward that hit. Like, they had just a little teeny bit on their red line there where they were in the clear, and they left the wind in, but they landed like way, way, way up there. Four, 5. Like 3 rings. Like 3 rings, and the rings are super distorted in that area. Hitting it perfect. I didn't put as much left hand. Oh shit, I think I put max topspin on, so we're going to see what max topspin looks like. There you go. So I put on 4, and then I just put on, what, 7.5? I don't think the 7.5 would work. The 7.5, if you had a headwind day hitting on that side right there, you're going to have to bring out a bigger power ball. faux show. Now, if you run topspin and you get in a hole where it's doing weird stuff where you're getting that kind of movement, put on a little bit of backspin and get right up next to the hole. So instead of doing that, you would put on just a couple backspin and get right up next to the hole. It plays more like a end bringer here, where wind might be a little bit of a factor. Where you're still so close, it's probably not going to make any difference. But if you get into the point where your ball guide's getting all wonky, like I could have, when I ran it all out and put it in the right spot, it wasn't getting wonky. But sometimes when you're on side hills like that, you go, well, hey, wind's not going to be a factor, but the slope is a factor. Because you hit the slope and it's rolling down and it's breaking to the right, it's going to break to the right as it's rolling to the cup, and it can miss the cup, and it had nothing to do with wind. So if you feel like it's going to do that, you can just put a couple backspin on and get right up next to the hole and take that shot. There you go. Wow. I finally got some practice tokens. Look at that. Look at that. Hole number 7. What is hole number 7? The final 3. All right. The old pin placement being here. Once again, if you were hitting off of this island, you had to bring it around. If you were hitting from over here, this is another one of those ones where your second bounce is super close to this rough. But with the new pin placement, this side right here looks like it might even be worse than it was before. It will be better because the hole is farther back, so you could get your second bounce farther up here with side spin. But you have to be up against this, and this drop off right here is once again where you're on the flat and then it drops off. So if the wind's blowing from this direction, you either need to bring out a low wind ball, or you need to make sure you don't move more than the 3 rings of separation. Otherwise you're going to be rolling off the edge, and it seriously affects the pull. This island is sloped, but before, to get to this spot, you'd have to be down in this area here close to the edge. Now you might be able to be more towards the middle, so no matter which direction the wind's blowing, you might have a little bit easier time getting there. So like on the last hole, there was a great shot off of this island, but I think hitting off of this one was better. But on this hole, I think hitting off of this island right here might be the way to go. And doing the backspin shot, there is a little bit of a backboard here. It's not as good as the last hole, but there is a little bit of a back hole. But if you're doing backspin, this is an area that you come through in order to try and get to the cup. It was hard to kind of get to the cup, but you might be able to do a backspin shot here as well. I'm going to see what this island looks like. Let's go check it out. Let's check it out. Practice. I'll take my bag number 2 and a Quasar. Not going to worry about timing out. Let's check it out first. Let's see what each spot looks like and see if the spots look on the course like what they look like on the field. I think that the shot from the island on the right hand side is probably going to be the way to go. You can get right out in front, like in one-on-one play. I play this with a Guardian, and you can get kind of in front of the cup and use max backspin, but it's real. You really got to pinch it up. But now the pin is a little bit further back and to the right. It might be easier if you wanted to do a max backspin shot. It might be easier. So if you're from over here trying to bring it around the bend, you'd need more than a 2-side spin ball. But you can see where my second bounce is, like to get to the right distance. You can see how close it is. So if you put on any curl, you're going to clip that. This spot over here, I think this is going to be easier to do. Let's bring out a katana. Let's try this with a katana. Where is my katana? There it is. It's a pinned ball. Yeah, you can give yourself a nice, I think that island right there is the way to go. I think that is. Because if you're over here and you're trying to do it, you probably need more than a 4-side spin ball if you wanted to give yourself any separation. So there is a rough, there is a super sliver rough bump, and it's at an angle too, so you're kind of, it's a dangerous little rough bump. But it does look like it's a little flatter now than it was in the past. But there is a nice little T rough bump there. Let's check that out. On tailwind days where you have to pull against the sand, this would be one that you definitely want to know what the wind adjustment is, because on headwind days, in my experience, when you're hitting over sand in this game and you've got a headwind, the wind adjustment is definitely bigger. Like, let's say normally you're doing a 10 or a 20% wind adjustment. If you're hitting against headwind and you're going right over sand, it might be a 40% adjustment. It's definitely different. Sand definitely affects your shot. Kmart sucks. Clip in the rough. That was the problem with where the old pin placement was, and that people watch their first bounce, but they're not paying attention to their second bounce. Let's see if there is a rough bump that we can do here. Like, what does that look like? There is a rough bump that you can do here, but you can see how you're on that hill face. So if you hit back a little bit farther, it could go straight up in the air. Now, let's see if we have a backspin shot. Where am I at in my club? There's max. I'm right at max if I wanted to do a backspin shot here, and it doesn't have enough backspin to kind of suck me down the hill, so it might be better to use a Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper. I'm going to do 5 rings. We'll just make a big ass adjustment. I'm not even going to take a shot. So we do have some options there. There is a rough bump, but you can see how steep that rough bump is. If you hit a little bit on the sandy side, your bounce is going to be really high, and you may end up on the green, but it'll be short. It's slivery. That would be not a bad rough bump on days when there's the side wind. So if you did make a bad pull, if I did a 20% adjustment there, and I'm not going to get to do an adjustment, but we see what our options are. I actually think with a 3 side spin ball, the way I'm going to play that hole, I may try the rough bump a few times just to see if I can, what the adjustment is here. But when the rough is rolling down like that and you're hitting off of it, if you hit on the lower part, you will get a straight up bounce. But I think in that spot that it'll still end up on the green. But I did like on this one before, because where the pin placement was here, I'm going to start over again. Where the pin placement was here, you really had to pinch down here in order to bring it around. But by them moving it out to the right, you can move this shot out to the right. And I had a whole ring set. I had like 6 rings of separation before the edge. So you could work out just about any kind of wind. What you want to do there is establish what your spin is. And if my max club was right here, I had to be towards the minimum club here. We do have some options. Options. And I tried the shot over in this area, and I tried the shot like over in this area to bring it around, and I was still in my long iron. So I think the red line, minimum red line, is probably in that area. So this is the spot. I'm going to try that island. And I will take that rough bump shot a couple times just to see what it looks like. Just to see. Just for safety. Hole number 8. All right. Now, the last time we played this hole, I made a conscious decision that, okay, on headwind days, it's difficult on this hole if you're trying to get over into the spot. And you can bring out a bigger power ball, but to try and get over into the spot consistently. But what I did was I brought out a 3 side spin ball, and I was hitting from this side with my big topper. And I was just bringing it around. So I got bounce number 1, bounce number 2, bounced over the sand, and then ran up. But this is a great opportunity on days when the wind is on our side of the fence, where we've got either a tailwind or we've got a pure side wind, where if you can get over here, you got a great run at getting a hole-in-one on a par 4. Let's check it out. I think I'm going to start off with, let's see with a big hitting club and a 3 power ball, just like where it gets me. And then we'll go from there. I had this shot dialed in on the last tournament, and I didn't have, because the thing about hitting from the other island and then bouncing over is it doesn't matter if it's headwind, side wind, tailwind. Doesn't matter what it is, you can get it over to the other side and be on the green every time. It's hard to. There is a little bit of fluctuation on days like on the pull, but and you got to hit it perfect. But you don't have to change your strategy every wind angle or change your ball. I can't remember. It seems like that like a power 5 ball works fine on this on days when there's tailwind or side wind, but like if there's headwind, you have to do overpower on it, but I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. No, like if you had a 5 power ball, you can get up into that zone and hit it straight at it, or you could use the wind today to get you up there. But if you want to be consistent, let's see if I can achieve this miraculous shot. There's 2 rings off. I get bounce number 1, bounce number 2. 2-9. It's 2.1 per ring. Do 2-9. A little bit of curl just to bring it back to the green. See if I can get my bounces right. Bounce, nope, didn't get them right. It looked like there was going to be a bounce in front of the green, or in front of that sand, not, and bounce number 1, bounce number 2 in front of the sand, bounce number 3, and then run. But bounce number 2 was actually in the sand, so it pushed me forward that far in the shot. So on days when there's tailwind or absolutely pure side wind, I would bring out a 5 power ball and go straight at the cup. You have a great opportunity for hole-in-one here. Now they have moved the pin. The pin used to be to the left and in the back, and now it's on the right. So the hole-in-one shot is slightly diminished, but with a power 5 ball, no overpower, you've got a great run at it. On headwind days, I'm probably going to try and perfect the shot that I just screwed up and make sure I get that right. I probably just run more topspin. I'll have to look and see how I screwed that shot up. Let's take it. Let's take it from here and let's see what we can do with it. I'm going to say it's going to roll down that hill. So 2.2 divided by 16. This is like just a little bit. Like maybe 0.1.5. And 75 rings straight to the left. That was every bit of 2. That was probably 3 rings straight to the left. We do have a shot at this hole, but this hole can be as great an opportunity as this hole is for a hole-in-one on a par 4. It's its best when there's tailwind or headwind, so that if you brought out a 5 power ball, you could work the wind out and start off on the other side. But if you got to use overpower on it, and we're in a headwind, it can be a little bit iffy. I like that hole though. I like that hole, and I do like taking the shot from over here. I will work on this shot. The problem with this shot with the new pin placement is if we draw a line from here out where you give yourself a little bit of separation, you're going in this direction. So I'm setting the shot up here and I'm trying to get it to come back this way through the throat. So my ball is always going to be with that shot. I'm relegating myself to bounce number 1 and then bounce number 2 trying to get it, and I'm always going to be off on this side and the pin's over here. And if I want to try and get where I'm going towards the pin, this little peninsula of rough is going to be in my way. So hitting the shot from over here is relegating myself to just trying to get the eagle, which is the goal on this hole, eagle. Okay, got to keep that in mind. But on days when there's tailwind or side wind, bringing out a 5 power ball and starting off on this side, not having to use any overpower at all, and really setting the shot up so you get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and you get a run at the cup, might be the deal. That cup is on a spot, though, where you can see how my tail was wanting to bend off. It might be hard to get the run at it, but we still have a shot of getting a hole-in-one on this hole if we can get our shit together. We still got a shot, but we got to keep in mind The goal is eagle. Okay, that's the goal. Don't go so hard for the hole in one that you end up with par or birdie. Okay, the goal is eagle. Hole number 9. Hole number 9. All right, if you can get far enough out into this zone, you've got several options here. You can get, if you bring out the right stuff and you're out in this area, you can get in front of this peninsula and go straight at the cup. And you can see where the pin placement is now. The pin placement before was like more like up in this area. And so if you can get in front of this, you got a straight shot at it. If you're farther back in this area trying to hit over, you got 2 options here. Option number 1 is you're hitting back on this plane, so which means that you're coming from over here to that spot, and now you're going to have to cover this distance. So a 3 side spin baller having to use some curl in order to make that up as big. Another thing that you can do if you got a club that's got enough topspin is if you hit it a little bit short over here, you can hit it to this island and then try and bridge this gap. So this means you need a wood that's got topspin, and a sniper can get it done, but this might be a great opportunity for a Cataclysm or a Horizon. A Horizon will work really good, especially if you got one that's got some ball guide, because it's got shit tons of topspin, it's got good distance, and it's got lots of ball guide to try and get you a run at the cup. So we do have some options here. I will say this. If you epic fail out in this area where you can only reach this pad and you're with a rough iron or your sand wedge, there is a max overpower hook shot that you can do. And I can't remember where out here I was pulling to do the max overpower hook shot, but you can do a max overpower hook shot to try and get you all the way to the front and then roll you over, and you can get right off the green where you can recover. So if you're in the rough or the sand over here, and try it. Practice that shot. Maybe come out on a practice round and hit yourself. You don't worry about getting yourself into the sand or the rough, and come out here and hit it so that you can see like where you got to pull it. But there is a max overpower hook shot that you can do over here to try and get back over to the other side and get into a recovery position. Whereas if you just hit it normally, your rough iron would be like up in this zone right here, and you can't bridge the gap. So you may just lay it up, or you may try and rough bump it out and you're over in this area. Whereas if you did the max overpower hook, you can get all the way up to the green. Let's try it. Hole number 9. Let's think what we want for a bag. Okay, we want, and a bigger power ball will help you here. This is not a bad hole for a 4 power ball, because the whole goal on the second shot is to get in front of that sand trap. And let me switch this bag up. I'm going to switch that Guardian up, and I want to bring out, I got to go back to the other screen. I'm going to bring out a Horizon. I want to see what a Horizon would do on this. Let's change that up for a Horizon. And Extra Mile's got the most top spin. We'll see which way the wind's blowing. I don't know that I have it. Do I have any 4 power balls? A 4 power ball works really well on this. What do I have the most of? Berserkers. So if nothing else, I'll use a Berserker. If we got tailwind, I'll use a Titan, and if not, I'll use a Berserker. Might just use a Berserker anyways. Are you shitting me? I got 2 things going. Didn't I just get 2? All right, I'll be right back. Okay, once again, 30 minutes of my life for a practice token that I've already paid 1,000 gems to get enough practice tokens. I paid 1,000 gems to get 12 practice tokens for, I think I've played 10, 11, and I started off with 3. And I've had to watch a minute's worth of videos to get 2 because I didn't get the ones that I paid for. Because evidently it's not a 6-shooter, it's a clip that keeps jamming. Here we go. Here we go. Hole number 9. It only took me an hour and a half to do this walkthrough. I'm making this up for Kyle. If Kyle made it all the way to the end of the video, I'm making this up because the last walkthrough I did was only 30 minutes long, and he texted me. He's like, dude, 30 minutes? Shit, is that a record? It was. Let's take out a 5 Powerball. Let's get all of it on there. I really like to get all the way to the end. I think you can I can overhit if I got too far down there. I'm just going to hit it straight up. Take the wind out. 3-9. And get a little bit more lined up with it. There's 4-2. I'll do a little extra. Do a slight bit of overpower, not enough to make the needle go any faster. One ring great to the right, which should not kill me. Just float up down to the bottom. Let's see how far out there you got to get in order to be in front of that peninsula. I think I should be fine with a 5 Powerball. And a horizon. And my horizon hits... What is my horizon with my 77 account? I think it's 2.0 per ring. I'm going to swear to that, though. Horizon max. 2.1 and 77. 2.1. Let's see if I can get up there. Oh, I got plenty of room. There's max. There's min. There's about mid, so I'm about mid club. But you can hit from over here. You can hit from over here. But this is the prime spot, is if you can get in front of that. Let's see if I can do a rough bump from there. Might be able to do a rough bump. Might not have enough. Even with the horizon, doesn't have enough to get me up there. So this would probably be better because I got to do backspin if I'm in that area to bring out a Guardian. Because I'd have to hit it from right there, and that doesn't give me... I like to give myself a couple rings of separation off of any transitional surface. So if you don't make a good wind adjustment or you hit it great to the left or the right, you're giving yourself room to succeed, to get up on the green and just recover and move on to the next hole. But when you start pinching yourself up, you make one mistake and bam, you're in the rough, and now you've dropped a shot. And so I like to give myself a little bit of room for maneuver. So I think if you were in that area, a Guardian would be better. It gives you a little more backspin, or a ball that's got more side spin, so you could start off to the side and bring it around. All right. I think it was 3 backspin and 2 side spin. Just try and get me up there. 2.6 times 2.6 divided by 2.1. 1.36 rings. $1.36 rings. I'm adding on 10%. There's 1, 3, 6. Getting it perfect. Watch this bounce. I need to pull a little bit more than 10, maybe 20. Where it hit down there by the rough, it was definitely half the distance to the rough. So I was only a ring off, and it was probably half a ring where it hit, but what it did was it dipped down by the rough. And so I hit on the lower part of that dip, and it took a higher bounce, so it lost a little bit of distance coming out. All right, there you have it. Man, that was a long ass, what was that? An hour and 34 minutes. I made up for the short one that I did on the last one. So that was not just a walkthrough. That was a walkthrough, practice round, scouting report. That was the whole 9 yards. You got the full meal deal on that one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all you that listened to the whole video and watched through all of the holes, but you now know what all of the new pin placements look like. You've got some options on them. I'll go back and watch this, and now we can make notes that tell us like what club, what ball we want to bring, so we can go out there and see if we like that spot, and then, and only then, can we start working on the second shot, like what kind of numbers that we need. Now that we know what we need to do to get us to the spot, now we can start working on second shot numbers to try and get us to the pin. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and stay safe.